These are excerpts of an interview with Buster Keaton, which was initially published in 1958. I believe the interviewer was Christopher Bishop. How did the scripts for these features evolve? Well, now we will go back to our type of pictures. Now, when I say our type, you've got three people who were making them at that time: Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, and myself. Until I left my own studio and went to MGM, where it was a different proposition, we never had a script. You never had any kind of a shooting script? We never had a script. We didn't work by one. We just got to talking about a story and laying out all the material that we could think of, and then got it all put together. Everybody connected with our company knew what we were going to shoot anyway, and we didn't have a schedule. How long did it take you to shoot a feature in the mid-20s? We averaged about 8 weeks of shooting. And how much did a feature cost? Our pictures cost, on the average, about 20 or 30% more than the average dramatic feature. How much would that be as of about 1925? Oh, I'd be spending around $210,000 to $220,000 to a feature. At the same time, Harold Lloyd would go higher. He would probably be going closer to $300,000. And Chaplin, he had no way of telling at all, because he was liable to quit in the middle of a picture and go to Europe, take a trip, start and get lazy, and only turn out about one picture every 2 years. So I never knew what his costs would run. Speaking of Chaplin and Lloyd and your other contemporaries, I wonder if you would care to express an opinion of their work as fellow comedians, or tell us which among the other comedians were your favourites. Well, my favourites, I guess Chaplin, of course, was number one, but I liked Harry Langdon very much, and I liked an old one called Lloyd Hamilton. I liked W.C. Fields. Those were my pets, and then probably Lloyd. Lloyd actually made the most films, didn't he? Yes, he did. He turned out quite a list. He was doing the same as I was. He'd make a spring release and a fall release, 2 pictures a year. How did you feel about the coming of sound? It didn't bother me at all. You felt that you could function just as well in sound? Well, why, sure. The only thing we did in laying out our material was to deliberately look for action laughs, not dialogue laughs. That has always been my fight with the brass. There were all these writers, and all these writers could think about was funny sayings and puns. I try to fight those down. How do you feel about the comedians who have come up since sound? Do you have any favourites among people like the Marx Brothers, Fields, and Red Skelton? Skelton I like very much. Lou Costello I like very much. Do you like the Marx Brothers films? Some of them, when they didn't get too ridiculous. Well, there you've got a good many verbal gags, and sometimes that's Groucho. The gags don't develop as they did in the silent comedies, and as they certainly did in your films, where you get one gag and you keep thinking it is going to end, but it turns into something else. Oh yes, we deliberately tried to keep something rolling. Have you seen any of the work of Jacques Tati, the French pantomimist? I've seen very little of it, only what's been on television. How do you feel about him? Well, I don't know what you'd call him. He's just out to be artistic. Well, of course I bring him up because he is the one person recently who has made a conscious effort to make comedies almost entirely without dialogue. I wonder how you feel about making a sound comedy, whether they are silent comedies with music and sound effects added. I wouldn't want to do that today. I still would look at it just the same as I looked at it when television first got a good hold and they put me out to doing half-hour shows. Well, I said, here's what I'm going to do. We go ahead and talk, put all the dialogue in the first 15 minutes, let them try for little laughs as we go. But for that second 15 minutes, deliberately go for places that just don't call for dialogue. In other words, we don't go out of our way to avoid them, but it's just a natural thing that two people busy building something, there's no reason to talk, you just go ahead and build. That's the type of material I looked for. If you were making a feature at this time, what sort of a film would it be? I'd go back to my old format. That's the way I made them before, but I have no intentions of doing it. I just don't think it is worthwhile anymore. I think in making a program picture today, you're just asking for trouble. You can't get your money back. You've got to make it around the world in 80 days, The King and I. You've got to get into one of those big things in order to get your money back. I'm anxious to see the day when television and the motion picture industry marry and set out a system, because it can't continue the way it is. I see only one solution to it. There should be paid television, and they could keep the cost so low that the poorest man in the world could have a television. They can keep the entertainment that low priced, and in that way you'd make pictures exactly the way you used to make them before television. I mean, you'd think nothing of spending $1.5 million for a program picture. What kind of a future do you think screen comedy has? What would you expect a really good screen comedy of the future would be like? There won't be any change. Everything seems to travel in cycles. It always did. Some fella comes along like Jerry Lewis who gets all these laughs talking fast, screaming and making faces and things like that, and he is sure top box office for a while. I don't know, but what he is still up there. Then along about this time when our back is turned, someone like W.C. Fields will come along, the funny character type of comic, and he'll be the rage. And you'll find 9 more like him working. Then along will come another type, and he'll be the rage for the next 5 or 6 years, and everybody will try to work like him. Did you have imitators yourself? Oh yes. Which was the most popular of your features? My biggest moneymaker was the Navigator, and next to that was the General. How did Sherlock Jr. stand up? Hospitality outgrossed it. Battling Butler outgrossed it. College outgrossed it. Steamboat Bill outgrossed it. Then at MGM, both the Cameraman and Spite marriage outgrossed it. It was alright, it was a moneymaker, but it wasn't one of the big ones. Maybe it was because at the time it was released, the audience didn't pay so much attention to the trick stunts that were in the picture. Was there any single film, perhaps one of the shorts, that you think did the most for your reputation? Perhaps the first short I made, called 1 Week.